Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're jumping right into a pretty fascinating journey exploring the digital preservation of regional literature. We're using a dynamic Q&A format today to do a literary review of an entire, massive volume of work. And we're kicking things off with a really big question. How does a regional language not just survive, but absolutely thrive in the digital age? Because honestly, it's a question of identity, technology, and just sheer willpower.
So, let's get into it. To answer that question, we're looking at this staggering 700-plus page anthology called Videha 14. This thing is an absolute milestone in Maithili prose and verse. It's a sprawling collection that proves Maithili, which is an Indo-Aryan language spoken mainly in Bihar, India, and eastern Nepal, is producing an incredibly vibrant, modern literary movement, right at this very moment.
But before we dive into the actual literature itself, we kind of need to understand the platform that even brought it to us in the first place. So what makes this anthology historically significant?
Well, it comes down to the legacy of Videha e-learning, which was spearheaded by editor Jitendra Thakur. This isn't just your standard publisher, It's literally a fierce, highly organized literary movement to preserve Maithili, and it started over 2 decades ago. They realized super early on that if their language was going to survive the whole globalization of the internet, it needed a massive digital footprint.
I mean, just think about these humble beginnings. They started as a simple GeoCities page back in the year 2000. From there, it evolved into the very first Maithili blog in 2004, and then by 2008 it became Videha, the first Maithili e-journal. Today, it boasts these incredibly extensive print and web archives. It's a perfect example of a language evolving right alongside technology.
All right, shifting our Q&A focus over to the prose and drama section of the review. How exactly do these modern writers hold a mirror up to their society? Are they just stuck in ancient myths, or are they tackling the here and now?
Take Jitendra Thakur's play Ganga Bridge. It features this wildly diverse cast of characters that forms a brilliant cross-section of modern society. We're not just looking at traditional, idealized heroes here. We meet powerful engineers, scheming politicians, struggling laborers, a chorus of madmen, and even a town drummer. It's a complete, breathing, societal ecosystem.
And we get this hit of really dark, biting satire. The town drummer is out there calling for workers, literally men, women, children, the elderly, because the bridge over the Holy Ganga is caught in this never-ending cycle of corrupt repairs. The bridge is never actually finished. It just demands an endless supply of cheap labor.
What's really fascinating is how the play neutrally observes this harsh post-independence reality. In the dialogue, the laborers are discussing how the local engineers and contractors have essentially just replaced the old feudal landlords and the British rulers in the modern social hierarchy. The play isn't taking a political stance. It's impartially reporting on the very real frustrations of a working class who feel like they've just traded one set of masters for another.
So clearly, the literature is highly attuned to local, on-the-ground struggles. But that brings us to our next pressing question: does this literature just exist in a regional vacuum? The text gives us a definitive no. For instance, we see the original Konkani novel, Pakalo, which is a deeply rooted story set against Goa's struggle for independence, translated directly into Maithili, complete with a critical review by Dr. Shambhu Kumar Singh. It just shows how Maithili writers are actively interacting with broader Indian literature, beautifully cross-pollinating stories of freedom, culture, and complex human identity.
Okay, moving from prose over to verse for this section of the review, we have to ask, what is the state of modern Maithili poetry?
Well, on one hand, you've got this absolutely beautiful continuation of historical traditions. For example, there are these deeply traditional bhakti ghazals, like this evocative devotional plea to goddess Durga written by poet Sumit Mishra. It's a gorgeous spiritual cry for cosmic intervention and inner peace, proving that faith is still a massive pillar of the language's poetic identity.
But wait, is everything in this anthology strictly traditional? Does the modern Maithili poet only look up to the heavens? Again, the textual evidence says no way. We actually see some incredibly gritty modern realism in works like this poem by Vishesh Chandra Lal. It is worlds away from idealized devotional songs and is rooted firmly in the mud and the sheer struggle of the present day.
These modern verses are taking on devastating real-world stuff. Lal is writing about the relentless, destructive floods of the Koshi and Kamala rivers, the utter trauma of watching your land erode, and the displacement of highly vulnerable communities. It's a very urgent, earthly kind of pain.
So, when you put these two styles side by side, you get this incredibly complete, multidimensional picture of the language today.
On one side, traditional poetry is keeping that quest for spiritual salvation alive, and on the other, modern poetry is providing sharp societal critique, talking about poverty, environmental disaster, and women's rights. The language is perfectly balancing eternal hopes with immediate harsh realities.
All right, having reviewed the incredible depth of both the prose and the poetry, we arrive at our final, ultimate question. Why does this massive 700-page volume actually matter in the grand scheme of things?
Because the movement behind it is fierce. It represents an ongoing and highly organized push to ensure that the Maithili language is never pushed to the margins. By compiling these texts, they aren't just saving old words, they are proving their culture is a living, breathing entity that refuses to be ignored. And get this, the scale of their effort is staggering. Through the digital efforts of the Videha project, over 400 Maithili books have been digitized and made available globally completely for free. This anthology is just one piece of a monumental puzzle. It proves an incredible resilience. It shows that with enough dedication, a community can literally build its own digital library and protect its heritage from fading away.
This whole review is really a story of triumph. So I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. Looking at what the Maithili community has built, how will you ensure the survival and thriving of your own cultural voice in today's fast-paced digital world? Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive explainer today.